Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, September 2nd. We are launching yet another very busy broadcast week. Of course, we're broadcasting live on Rumble, live on Twitter, live on Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine. We are live on Substack, live on Facebook, live on also a new platform, Died Suddenly. We are so thrilled to be collaborating with the amazing, phenomenal team over at Died Suddenly. I want to welcome all of those new viewers to the Shannon Joy Show today. We have so much to get to today on the show. As you know, this program every day, not left, not right, just the truth as best as we can tell it without any political affiliations. And yes, it is good to see everyone on the live chat today. On Rumble, we have the kindest, smartest, most amazing live chatters in all of Rumble. We're thankful for all of you. I see you, Rothan Walker, with the first chat of the day. Hey, all. So are we not going to mention the demonic tranny shooter in Minneapolis and the political statements about gun control and Trey Gowdy, got to get guns out of the hands, blah, blah, blah. I hear you, Rothan Walker. We haven't addressed that yet here on the Shannon Joy Show. Number one, because I think that issue is largely a local issue to be dealt with local police and people on the ground there. Of course, we are saddened by that horrific tragedy. But I agree with you. We don't need to have national gun control laws. We don't need to have new red flag laws. We don't need to have a discussion about expanding gun control in the United States of America, or as Melania Trump tweeted out just a couple days ago, going into the homes of every American so that we can give them a mental health screening to make sure that they don't engage in similar behavior. It is astounding how many politicians on both the left and the right will use a headline like a tragic shooting at a Catholic school to justify the expansion of the surveillance police state. So we're not going heavy into it, Rothan Walker, because every other outlet on the planet is going into it and using it as a political football. From my perspective, there are a lot of other stories that are of more importance that we're going to be covering this week, but we will keep an eye on it. CJP Rumble is with us today on the live chat. Great to see you, CJP Rumble. Buskman, of course, is with us as well. Mav 2022. Great to see you on the live chat. We are so thankful for our partnership over at Rumble as well. You're going to hear from amazing sponsors today on the Shannon Joy Show. Colonial Metals Group, of course, our friends over at the Satellite Phone Store. That is sat123.com/joy for 10% off everything. And you're going to be hearing about a great new product, Perfect Sleep Max from Perfect Origins. And of course, our friends over at Native Path, both creatine and of course, collagen, which I use every day. We could not bring this show to you without our sponsors. So if you are in the market for any of their goods or services, please patronize them, because it helps us to keep the lights on here at the Shannon Joy Show. Green Tea 369, great to see you as well. And yes, Melania's statements on the expansion of the surveillance state and mental health screening needing to happen in the home were absolutely terrifying. And we will probably use those later on in the week as we talk about the technocracy, one of the only platforms in the United States of America, right here in the Shannon Joy Show, analyzing the techno-fascist state, the expansion of the technocracy, and the digital surveillance state, digital ID, digital money. It is all on the table, and it is being pushed by this administration, Donald Trump, and also his wife, the First Lady, Melania, from her Twitter account. there's a lot happening, but you see the headline of today's show. We have a lot to get to, as I mentioned. Kicking and screaming, Donald Trump finally admits that Operation Warp Speed may have been a complete failure after 5 years. Many of us knew this on day one. It took apparently 1,875 days for Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, the executive here in the country, to come to the conclusion that so many others have come to in a very short period of time. It is a narrow admission, but a huge victory. And it's not because Trump has admitted anything, guys, but because we dragged him to it, kicking and screaming, and forced him to say it, albeit by a Truth Social post. But we have recreated that Truth Social post so that we can get the full glory of President Trump in this admission. Interview after interview, we know that it was a no-go. He wouldn't even grant interviews unless the media outlets would promise not to mention the COVID vaccines or Operation Warp Speed. We haven't been able to talk about COVID-era atrocities. We haven't been able to talk about the democide. We haven't been able to talk about vaccines for the past 6 months because Donald Trump and his administration have refused to do so. Well, now there is a camel's nose under the tent. They have cracked the door open, and in a bombshell Truth Social post, he finally admitted that Operation Warp Speed just might be a complete failure. So let's start with that, the recreation of Donald Trump, so that we can hear it in his own voice. Let's roll that, and then we're going to get some very critical response from some of the most prolific and truthful voices in the medical freedom community. Let's roll the tape.
It is very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree. With CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer, and I want it now. I have been shown information from Pfizer and others that is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. Why not? They go off to the next hunt and let everyone rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug companies' COVID work. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. I want them to show them now to CDC and the public and clear up this mess one way or the other. I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter.
So we all know how great Operation Warp Speed was. It's not his fault. Pfizer and Moderna have given him great information, but it's not the same information they're releasing to the public. This is creating confusion. People are ripping themselves apart and tearing themselves apart because of this confusion. And so now he is saying, I hope, and here it is, this is the pull quote, right? I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention, Pfizer and Moderna, to this very important matter. There, he said it, right? Finally. Now, that was a recreation of Donald Trump's voice using the on-the-record statement that he put out on his Truth Social over the weekend. And everyone has a lot to say about that statement. On one hand, you have members of the medical freedom community who are so thankful, and they think this is a huge victory that Trump has finally seen the light. He didn't know. He was duped. He was lied to. In fact, Peter Navarro went on a major platform just a couple hours ago to smash the desk and say, this is outrageous. Poor baby Donald Trump was lied to by Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx, right? So this defies logic, in my opinion. If many of us, millions of us, were able to see the truth on day one, I find it interesting that the most brilliant 12-dimensional chess player, political chess player in the planet, the most brilliant businessman on the face of the planet, Donald Trump, couldn't figure this out for himself on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 300, 500, 1,000, 1,015, or 1,500. Like, it's taken him this long. Do you guys really believe that? Do you really believe that? But there are many within the medical freedom community and the MAHA organization that want to believe that all of the sudden Trump has just seen the light. I tend to believe that that is completely false. And this is why I say this is a huge victory, but it is not a victory of awakening or understanding by Donald Trump. Please do not expect Donald Trump to do anything whatsoever to get to the bottom of this. Please do not expect Donald Trump to do anything whatsoever to find the truth regarding what had happened during the devastating days of COVID lockdowns in 2020 and beyond, right? Why? Because, well, he's complicit. And as you all know, I personally believe that both Donald Trump and Joe Biden should be held accountable. They should face a tribunal, a Nuremberg-style tribunal, and tried for crimes against humanity regarding what was done to the American people in the dark days of COVID lockdowns, the hospital killings and the democide, and also the rollout of the deadly, devastating COVID-19 vaccines, which everyone knew who was in the know were not safe, right? It takes just a little bit of common sense to know and understand that you cannot roll out a universal vaccine in less than 3 months and not have very, very serious safety and efficacy issues. That's just common sense. And so for those in the medical freedom community out there who want to thank him and give him credit and give him a lot of rope in terms of what he can do in the future, I would not hold my breath. If he could have done something, he would have done something, and he would have done it a long time ago. The victory here today, and we can talk about this. I see a lot of you are popping up on the Rumble live chat. I agree. The bioweapons are still in Walgreens. They are still rolling out new mRNA technologies. They have still approved new COVID shots, not just Donald Trump, but also Bobby Kennedy Jr. at HHS. By the way, they kind of snuck in this new guy over at the CDC to replace the horrific original pick, Monaris. It is now Peter Thiel's right-hand man, Jim O'Neill, who is also a transhumanist and a techno-fascist and a former speechwriter for George W. Bush, by the way. Very interesting. They snuck this guy in, and everyone's kind of cheering for the new pick. This guy is handpicked by Peter Thiel. You'll see in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show today, Sasha Latapova with a blockbuster just exposing how bad this guy is. They want to revolutionize healthcare using artificial intelligence, mass collection of surveillance data, and machine decision making in hospitals and medical offices across the country. And that's really the mission of installing one of Peter Thiel's guys at the head of CDC. So I don't see this as good news, but it's interesting. No one's really talking about that because we're focusing on all these other issues. But the victory, I mean, let's take a step back for just a moment and celebrate the victory, because there is a huge victory in all of this. Not that Trump finally admitted that Operation Warp Speed was potentially a disaster, but that we forced him to do it. That's the victory. This is the power of the culture at large and leading with truth, even when it seems absolutely impossible. We, you and me, and a handful of others, people like Mary Talley Bowden, Naomi Wolf, Sasha Latapova, Debbie Lerman, 5 times August, David Knight, people like Daniel Horowitz and Dr. Peter McCullough and Tom Massey and Ron Johnson and a whole host of other people who are refusing to allow MAHA, the medical freedom community, and this administration to get away with sweeping this under the bus and pretending as if it never happened. Today, with this Truth Social, the gaslighting has ended. because they now have to face the truth that Operation Warp Speed was a disaster. This is proof to all of us, those of us who have been ousted from the medical freedom community, ousted from the conservative movement, ousted from the Republican politics and from the power of this administration, ousted even from Make America Healthy Again, which was supposed to be about medical freedom. For those of us who stood up and refused to back down, even though we once again lost a lot, this is proof that a small but powerful and diligent minority can move the paradigm. They can shift cultural thinking. And we did that. That's the key takeaway here. We were told by the new DC insiders that it's impossible. Get over it. COVID is over. No one wants to talk about it. It's politically toxic. America isn't ready to discuss the democide of 2020 and the millions who are injured and or dead from the rollout of these poison shots. Yada, yada, yada. They wanted to bury this, and they wanted to force us to help them bury it. And we said no. We ignored the comments and we stuck with the truth, aligning with the rapidly shifting culture at large. The American people are not taking these vaccines. They aren't taking COVID vaccines. They aren't taking flu shots, and they are moving away from the CDC recommended childhood schedule. Every data set out there, every poll out there shows that the trust has been destroyed. The American people don't trust the medical industrial complex. We don't trust our hospital systems, and we don't trust what they are telling us today because they're ignoring what they did to us just a few short years ago. We have succeeded in forcing this issue and making them admit the truth. We were right again, and I want to thank all of you who stuck with us. We were very lonely voices in the wilderness for such a long time. I think we're seeing a powerful shift in cultural sentiment and in the body politic. And Sasha Latapova lays this out very clearly in her piece as well, exposing Jim O'Neill, the new hand-picked CDC director by Peter Thiel, right? What is happening is their narratives are falling apart and they don't have enough well-groomed and installed lie tellers to continue with the lies. So it's falling apart. We just need to keep pushing. All right. So I want to thank all of you for sticking with us here. And I agree with you, Green Tea 369. I lost a lot, but I didn't lose my self-respect or the ability to look at myself in the mirror by telling the truth. Future Ez has a comment as well. Is Trump still alive? That's another headline story that we will be taking a look at this week. There was a pretty devastating thread on Twitter just a couple days ago. Donald Trump has not been seen in any real form. He hasn't done a press conference or any interaction with media since August 26th. And there are very real questions about his health. This is kind of a new thing for we the people in the United States of America. Now that we elect elderly people multiple times over and over, we have to deal with potentially rapidly declining health of our elected leaders. This happened with Joe Biden. And remember, these boys love their COVID shots. So you can imagine that both Joe Biden and Donald Trump were jabbed multiple times. If they followed the CDC recommended schedules, their own CDC recommended schedules, they probably have 6 or 7, 8, maybe 9 COVID shots injected into them over the past couple years. So is it beyond the realm of possibility that Trump could be declining in health? We're going to be taking a look at that as well. LT Oracle of Truth. Shannon, are you going to enroll in Peter Thiel's Antichrist class? Yes, Peter Thiel is hosting a seminar in the Biblical Antichrist in California. You cannot make this up. This is the guy who likes to drink or I think infuse himself with the blood of young people in order to keep himself young. It's insane. These guys are obsessed with longevity and are just really bizarre. But no, I haven't enrolled, but that would be something. I would love to have a couple moles in that Peter Thiel Antichrist class. He's hosting it, a 4-part series. Again, you just cannot make this up. So we have response from the great Dr. David Martin. By the way, Dr. David Martin joining us in the Joy Virtual Studio on Thursday this week live. We're going to take a break in a moment, but when we come back, we're going to look at the response. As I mentioned, headline today, Donald Trump, after 5 years, very long years, very, very long years, finally, he cracks that door open just a little bit and admits what is the massive elephant in the room, and that is Operation Warp Speed was a complete failure. Well, Dr. David Martin put out a blockbuster video just this morning in response to that tweet, and it is a critical reminder of what happened, not just in 2019 and 2020, but all the way back in 2015, as they prepared this nation for what was a military coup d'etat under Trump's watch in 2020. So we're going to look at his response, and then we are going to go to some of your comments here in the live chat. And then a little later in the program, we are going to look at the top stories of the day. Huge weekend for gold and silver. Jesse Colombo, the bubble on his Substack. Silver is about to hit $50. They broke through the $40 threshold, and gold as well is now over 3,500. We also, as I mentioned, have the critical analysis about Operation Warp Speed from Dr. David Martin, and a few other headlines. Trump's tariffs were ruled unconstitutional by an appellate court. That is going to be an important topic. We're going to focus on some economic issues tomorrow and in the next couple days as well. And an explosive news conference in Washington, D.C. Epstein's victims. Tom Massey is joining with Representative Khanna out of the great state of California. They are planning a news conference on Wednesday. Tom Massey is going to co-host. They're going to bring out new victims who will be speaking out of Jeffrey Epstein. The ask here is that those Epstein files are opened up. And this is incredibly important. We're going to be covering it here on the Shannon Joy Show. Also, the Sasha Latapova piece. Peter Thiel installs tech fascist and transhumanist Jim O'Neill over at the CDC. So that's just some of the headlines we're going to cover today, along with some of your reactions and also reactions from the medical freedom community regarding the bombshell Truth Social post by Donald Trump. So before we go to break, I do want to thank one of our amazing sponsors, Perfect Sleep Max. You now have the opportunity to try out Perfect Sleep Max with 25% off by going to www.perfectorigins.com/perfectsleep/SJS. We're going to pop that up into the live chat on the Shannon Joy Show and also in the show notes. Have any of you ever laid awake at night with your mind racing? I know the 24-hour news cycle is intense. It is relentless, and a lot of it can contribute to stress. This makes it sometimes hard to get a good night's sleep. You have your mind racing, your muscles are tense, and no matter what you try, the sleep just doesn't come. Well, we've all been there. I've been there myself. It is time for you to unwind and get a great night's sleep with Perfect Sleep Max from Perfect Origins. It's not just another melatonin pill. This one blends relaxation and sleep support from multiple angles. It has L-theanine. It has mood and sleep support as well. It has physical relaxation with melatonin, and it's absolutely clean, non-GMO, no GMOs whatsoever, just focused sleep support. You can try it with a full money back guarantee. And for this audience only, you can grab it for 25% off, but you have to use that promo code MIA. So go to perfectorigins.com/perfectsleep/SJS, 25% off your purchase and a full money back guaranteed guarantee if you don't like it, but you're going to love it. You can send the bottle back empty if you want to. And they have great deals for the Joy audience. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at Dr. David Martin, his response to the new bombshell that, yeah, we're finally admitting Operation Warp Speed was a disaster. Well, what do we need to do next? What has to happen next? We're going to look at that video when we come back, and then we're going to welcome Dr. David Martin into the Joy Virtual Studio on Thursday. So we'll be back in a moment. Keep it tuned right here on the Shannon Joy Show. All of the Native Path products are simply amazing. In the Joy household, we use the Hydrate. We use the Native Path Complete Protein. We use, obviously, the Native Path Collagen, which is right now on sale, 45% off if you go to getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. And that's a limited time, but it is the cleanest, the best, the highest quality collagen on the market at the absolute lowest price point. This is why I love their products. In fact, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy the other night, he uses everything, but every so often, if he plays volleyball, he will cramp up, or if he's doing some type of strenuous activity, he'll get these cramps. It's not very often, but middle of the night last week, I'm like in the bed next to him. All of a sudden, he's like, oh my gosh, like screaming, yelling, like stiff as his board. His feet are out like completely straight. And apparently both of his legs cramped up. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like trying to like get him up and turn him around in the bed because he can't like bend his legs. And he goes to me, he goes, get me the Native Path Hydrate now. Get me the Native Path Hydrate, because it has the electrolytes in it. And so like I'm running downstairs and I'm mixing it up and I bring it up to him and it took care of it. But like that's how dependent the whole family is. My son has an entire box full of all of the stuff he's bringing back to college, and he wants to get his volleyball team on it because they're just great products. They deliver, they're clean, and the price points are absolutely perfect. So we love the team over at Native Path. Please go to their website, getnativepathcollagen.com right now. We know what collagen does for your hair, your nails, your skin, your joints. It addresses joint pain. And we know that as we age, we lose a lot of the production of collagen in our body. So this is why I use Native Path Collagen every single day in my coffee. Doesn't help with cramping, but they have the Hydrate for that. Getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. Of course, our sponsors, Colonial Metals Group. I had a conversation yesterday, very well-known, very brilliant economic analyst. And the situation here in the United States of America is dire. Despite what they're saying to you about the golden economy and the golden age here in the United States of America, everyone who knows everything understands that the wheels are falling off this jalopy of an economy. And this is why every American needs a gold and silver strategy, period. End of sentence. If you have waited, if you have delayed in talking to our friends over at Colonial Metals Group because you think you have some time, please reconsider. He was telling me that, and I'm going to get into what he told me, word on the street, but the big news is he's saying within the next couple months to the next 6 to 8 months, we are going to see what he said is a disastrous crash. I mean, worse than the real estate bubble, worse than the dot-com bubble, worse than the situation after the lockdowns of 2020. And it is going to sweep away so many people who are trusting the two political parties, investing in Bitcoin and putting all of their eggs in the Wall Street basket. You need to diversify, and the smart money is going into gold and silver, whether it's through a physical purchase, which you can do at Colonial Metals Group, or moving over a portion of your 401k or your IRA into a gold and silver backed, independent, self-directed IRA. It's what I have. It is so easy to set up. I didn't have a ton of money. I had a little extra. I set up my IRA through Colonial Metals Group, And now I'm contributing a couple $100 every single month. It's part of my retirement strategy, and it helps me diversify. This is not a recommendation or financial advice for all of you, but it's what I do. And I trust the folks over at Colonial Metals Group. Please do not delay. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, so that you can begin to learn how to diversify, how to protect your retirement and hedge against the corruption and the chaos and the economic catastrophe, which I believe is coming very quickly to the United States of America. We also love our partnership with our friends over at the Satellite Phone Store. In an emergency, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's a government-inflicted pseudo-emergency, whatever it is, the more prepared you are, the better off you're going to be, and the better you're going to be able to make decisions for your family that will help you in the long term. And so Satellite Phone Store has been our one-stop shop at the Shannon Joy household for everything that we need to be prepared. Whether it is a solar panel or a generator, they have all sizes of generators that you can use in short term, long term, whether it's the Faraday collection, right? Protecting your devices from EMP, EMF, and also protecting your bodies from EMF radiation, 5G, 4G, 3G, you name it, all the Gs. They have the most extensive line of Faraday products, I think, on the market, and they are the highest quality Faraday you can get. From the blankets, the beanies, and the bags, they are always 10% off when you use the promo code JOY. So go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. Always use that JOY promo code. It always works. And of course, they have the satellite phones. The best way for you to keep in touch with your loved ones when the lights go out. And as we have seen in recent news headlines, the lights are going out more and more. And as they are taxing our grid with this building of the techno digital gulag, they are using up more and more energy sources. And so many outlets are, you are seeing one story after another of predicted rolling brownouts, blackouts. This is coming. This is going to be a reality in the next 24 months because of the expansion of the technocracy and the data centers. And so this is when, we need to be prepared. That's why you need the satellite phones and all of these preparation materials. So sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. Let's Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Fancy new graphics today on the show. I hope you guys have noticed, and we'll be having a little chat at the end of the Shannon Joy Show today with all of you about some changes and some new things on the horizon. So make sure you stick with us to the end of the show today. I want to go to the live chat very quickly. Again, thank you to our sponsors. We are so appreciative of these just amazing relationships that we're able to have with truly great companies that have come underneath the Shannon Joy Show and supported us in our growth over the past couple years. So Colonial Metals Group, Native Path, the Satellite Phone Store, love you guys. Love you guys. Great people, great products. And as I mentioned, it helps grow this show when you guys patronize our advertisers. Diog99, so glad to see you on the live chat with a comment. Trump is misdirecting by claiming that Pfizer needs to release data instead of admitting massive shot deaths and injuries. That's the real massive elephant in the room, isn't it? The vaccine injured, the millions of Americans who are still suffering with debilitating COVID-19 vaccine injuries today, hundreds of thousands of them in the United States of America have lost loved ones to death from the COVID-19 vaccines. And it is the epitome of cruel and horrifying gaslighting that those in political power today won't even acknowledge them. Donald Trump, even Bobby Kennedy Jr., Jay Bhattacharya, in their positions officially as head of HHS, director of NIH, Marty Makary, right, over at the FDA. It's really bizarre to watch and very disturbing to realize that all of the people that we worked with over the past 3 years who have suffered because of their reactions to the COVID vaccines are just completely forgotten. And so, yes, it is certainly a limited hangout that was pushed out by Donald Trump over the weekend on Truth Social, opening the door to maybe, just maybe, Operation Warp Speed may have been a horrifying disaster. I have a feeling that the floodgates are now going to open. I don't think that they can put this cow back in the barn. The cat's out of the bag. It's done, right? And I think that this is only going to have the impact of pushing this wider open. That's why this is a victory. I don't want people to think it's very interesting. It's a nuanced position, right? It's not, what I'm seeing many in the medical freedom community like crying and, oh, I'm so happy. Thank you, Trump, for the crumbs that you're dropping, the crumbs of truth that you are dropping. Thank you for not gaslighting us relentlessly again into perpetuity and dropping a few like little truth crumbs on us over the weekend, right? As if he did something really special. Like, no, that is not our position. In fact, my position is that he didn't want to do this. He had to do it. They had to do it because the culture at large is not accepting the gaslighting any longer. And we are pushing this issue, and we will continue to push this issue relentlessly, right? So, yes, I agree with you. This is a limited hangout. They had to do it. They didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. I'm sure he didn't want to push it out. He probably didn't even write the Truth Social, by the way, but it is an indication that this culture, bottom up, man, we are getting this done. Future Ez, thank you so much for being with us today on the live chat. I love seeing new faces. Nostradamus, it was peer pressure that made people take the COVID shot. Well, it was full-scale coercion. It was peer pressure, gaslighting, propaganda, coercion, and I don't know. I mean, it was the worst thing that ever happened to us. Nostradamus has a question. Did you reach out to Michael Yeadon? Yes, Shannon. Yes, I'm trying. He is hard to get a hold of, and I have a lot of contacts, but I have not been able to secure Michael Yeadon. We are going to have, as I mentioned, Dr. David Martin on the Shannon Joy Show this Thursday live. So I booked him, secured him this morning. Again, big reminder, tomorrow we're launching On Call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. I'm sure she's going to have a lot to say about what went down over the weekend. As you know, we still haven't had a reckoning. We still don't have those mRNA shots pulled off the market. We still don't have a banning of vaccine mandates. We still don't have pharmaceutical corporations held liable for vaccine injuries and death. There's a lot that we don't have that we are pushing for. And I'm really thrilled to help launch Dr. Mary Talley Bowden with her own show right here on the Shannon Joy Network, pushed out on her Twitter platform and also on our amazing new partners, Died Suddenly, these amazing producers on their platform as well, and obviously all of the SJ platforms. That's going to happen tomorrow. So she's going to be joining me live at 12:30 p.m. I'm sorry, not 12:30, 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And then her show is going to be every Wednesday live right here on Rumble and the entire SJ network. She's going to be engaging with all of you, answering questions and talking about the most pressing health topics of the day from a political perspective because, well, health is political these days. So really thrilled for that collaboration. We are launching that tomorrow live. So make sure you tune in tomorrow right here on the Shannon Joy Show. And of course, as I mentioned, Dr. David Martin will be with me on Thursday. M. Garth Hilton, great to see you as well. Mark the Regan. Yeah, there were so many who got the shots out of their own goodwill to protect their loved ones. That was the most disgusting coercive measure that I noticed in the dark days of COVID. and when they were rolling out the COVID vaccine, like literally guilting people and preying upon their goodwill and their good desire to help their community, to keep their parents and their loved ones and their grandparents safe and healthy. And so they went out against their will and took a shot they didn't want in order to be a good person. That's how disgusting these people were. And as I mentioned in the first segment, I hold Biden and Trump equally accountable for what happened. Biden, had he not have the largesse of $18 billion from Donald Trump and Operation Warp Speed, the apparatus that was put in place for Biden when he came into office, he would not have been able to coerce and manipulate as many people as he did during the rollout of that COVID vaccine. So both of those two individuals, in my opinion, are equally complicit. And if people want a reckoning and they want the truth and they want to truly hold people accountable, then they will hold both political parties and both Joe Biden and Donald Trump accountable for what happened. Great to see so many new faces. By the way, on the live chat, you guys look great. I'm Garth Hilton, the Shannon Joy Network. Let's go. You know it. All right, let's go to the David Martin. This is a phenomenal, it's about a 9-minute video, but we edited it down to a little bit shorter so that you could learn from him in terms of his response to Donald Trump's post. I want to remind you of Trump's post. Do I have it here? I just threw it on the ground. But basically he came out and said, hey, Pfizer, Moderna, you guys aren't giving me the whole story. You're showing, this is what Trump said in his post. You're not giving me the whole story. You're showing me all of these great numbers, right? But now there's lots of confusion. And I need you to prove to me, Pfizer and Moderna, that your shots are safe and effective. This is, not helpful 5 years post rollout, but okay. So here you see Donald Trump, paving the way for his wasn't my fault, right? It's a CYA moment. This is not about, wanting to protect the American people, feeling bad about what he did, wanting to get to the truth. No, this is, yeah, we did it, but it was your fault. Now you have to prove to me that these are safe. And if you can't, well, then maybe we'll open the door to Operation Warp Speed being a complete failure. But it wasn't my fault, right? I mean, this is after years. I mean, it's unbelievable, the flip-flopping and the hypocrisy. But this is what, if you guys want to understand what really went on, this was a brilliant response from Dr. David Martin. He pushed this out this morning, and we're going to have him on Thursday live on the Shannon Joy Show to go into this and more even further, because it's a much bigger problem than anyone even realizes, especially if you are still locked in that fake ass two-party paradigm. If you still think it's like Democrats versus Republicans and they're battling, or Biden versus Trump and they're battling, you are missing the larger picture. They're all complicit. They work together. They divide us, confuse us, and confound us on a regular basis. And this is how they get away with everything. And things are going to get worse, by the way, because we've never held them accountable for what they did to us in the first place. So we've trained our captors. We've trained our abusers to do it to us again and do it harder, because we're never going to pull ourselves out of this false two-party paradigm and wake up to the extent that we can actually hold them all accountable. David Martin gets this, and this is what he had to say. Let's roll this video, and then I would love to get your opinions and comments on the live chat. Please make sure you put them in all caps so that I can see them, because we will go back to the live chat. I want to spend a lot of time with you guys in the final 20 minutes of the Shannon Joy Show, reading your comments, answering your questions, and also giving you some updates on the future of the Shannon Joy Show and some of our new projects and collaborations. So let's take a look at this David Martin piece, and we will get your response in just a moment.
Very quick overview of a couple points that we should address. First of all, the data he requested is not going to come from Pfizer or from Moderna. The data that he needs to see is the data that actually comes from public records that have been repeatedly shown on this platform for the last 5 years plus. First of all, the first data they need to know was that SARS was a direct result of gain-of-function research from UNC Chapel Hill's work on WIV1. That's the Wuhan Institute of Virology viral model number 1, which was a sample provided to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Ralph Barrick's lab, under an authorized grant by Anthony Fauci's NIAID. And that sample was transferred in 2014 during the gain-of-function moratorium. There is no question that in 2015, when the paper was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, that the world was put on notice that the Wuhan Institute of Virology virus pathogen bioweapon model was poised for human existence, because that's exactly what they said. It's important for President Trump to know that on October 2014, Anthony Fauci's NIAID violated the law and authorized the gain-of-function research on the Wuhan Institute of Virology virus to move forward at UNC Chapel Hill, while the head fake was to suggest that EcoHealth Alliance was doing it in Wuhan. The fact of the matter is, and is evidenced by the statements in the paper, that the gain-of-function research created the biological weapon that became what we now refer to as SARS-CoV-2. And that was published in 2016. They knew that the ingredients that they were putting in the shots were either deadly or debilitating. Let's start with the deadly. They knew that pseudouridine, as early as 2017, was shown to be the agent that would unleash what we now refer to as turbocancers. And they knew it was going to be highly problematic, so much so that in 2017, they published a study there that laid out the risks of pseudouridine and what it could do, both in cancer promotion and in the progression of other horrific diseases. They knew that the spike protein was in fact going to target the human heart. This data was very evident since 2002, when Ralph Barrick was publishing the research showing that he could get the spike protein to trigger cardiomyopathy and other forms of heart inflammation. But the publications that I have here show that by 2009, they knew that the spike protein, the thing that the shot was instructing your body to make, they knew that was going to create heart problems and potentially long-term other disease problems. And then let's get to the last one, which is very fascinating. The last piece of evidence we have here, which actually came out of molecular therapy, not only showed that the lipid nanoparticle created enormous numbers of adverse events, as much as 62% of adverse events in animal models. And this is the lipid nanoparticle used to deliver the agent of the shot. But this was not just a generic knowledge. The individual highlighted in red on this slide happens to be the individual who was the chief medical officer for none other than Moderna, who knew that there was an unacceptable high level of adverse events associated with the lipid nanoparticle. And this information was known and published years before there was any SARS-CoV-2 conversations in China. They knew that the shot was deadly and debilitating, and they made it anyhow. Now, how did they know that it was deadly? Well, let's look at their own words. Let's not try to infer from anything. On September 18th, 2019, one day before President Trump signed the executive order, which was the forerunner to what became what we call Operation Warp Speed, when he signed the executive order on September 19th, 2019, having been instructed to do so by Alex Azar, then the director of the Department of Health and Human Services. They stated at the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board of the World Health Organization that there was going to be a quickly spreading lethal respiratory pathogen that was going to be unleashed for the purpose of creating the reason that the public would accept a universal vaccine by September 2020. Let's review the dates again. The World Health Organization said that in a publication, The World at Risk, on September 18th, 2019, that there would be a lethal respiratory pathogen released. They said that the progress indicators of the success of the World Health Organization would be in September 2020. There would be a uniform vaccine program rolled out worldwide. And the day after that publication, on September 19th, 2019, President Trump signed the executive order, which authorized the rapid development of a universal or pan-influenza vaccine program, including the use of DNA and other genetically modified products. So all of this was done well in advance of patient number one. They also knew that the clinical trial, as they configured it, was deceptive and would lead to an outcome that would be misleading. And this is where President Trump needs to have very clear insight. None of the data that was required by the FDA's own publication, which I have here for reference, so anybody can look it up, the FDA stipulated in 2018 that there must be data submitted prior to a clinical trial that talked about things like the immune response, all kinds of clinical outcomes, and specifically laid out the requirements for what vaccine clinical trials must include, none of which were included in what was done for the COVID shots. They changed the definition of what vaccination was. And then what they did was they cunningly used this 2-week period of time between shot 1 and shot 2, so that all of the adverse events that took place in the clinical trial were front-loaded into the immediately after shot 1 population, which was officially classified as unvaccinated, even though they received the shot. What that did was it shifted the adverse events so that the public was deceived into believing that there weren't many adverse events. But the reason why was because to be considered vaccinated in the clinical trial, you had to have 2, not 1 shot. And a huge number of patients, after receiving the first shot, had immediate death or immediate disability. All of those were considered to be either COVID-related illnesses and deaths, or, and in every case, they were all considered to be, quote, unvaccinated. And this is where President Trump needs to understand that the clinical trials sponsored by Moderna and by Pfizer, to a lesser degree J&J, were set up for deceptive medical practices. This was meant to deceive the president. It was meant to deceive the public. And it was architected so that the adverse events would absolutely be loaded onto what was called the unvaccinated population. This was known, clear, and compelling deception. And remember, they said why they were doing it. They said they were doing it because they needed to, quote, sustain the funding base beyond the crisis. They needed to increase the public understanding of the need for medical countermeasures such as pan-coronavirus vaccines. And then they said a key driver is the media, and the economics will follow the hype. We need to use that hype to our advantage to get to the real issues. Investors will respond if they see profit at the end of the process. Mr. President, this was always about the profiteering of the stated financial interests of all of the parties involved, and it never was a public health emergency. It was a horrific coup d'etat to disrupt this country and countries around the world, to destabilize democracies in the name of financial and social gain. That's why they did it. This was about profit. This was about mercenary activities to disrupt the orderly conduct of what became the 2020 elections. And this is the data that Pfizer and Moderna will never show you. But I live right down the road, and I'm happy to make all of this data available to you, to Secretary Kennedy, and to the entirety of the administration, who owes the public the opportunity for the first time to finally get justice for the crimes that were committed under the guise of COVID. Thank you very much for listening, and please share this video.
All right, everyone. That video is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. And that was Dr. David Martin. He will be joining us live in the Joy Virtual Studio on Thursday this week. And Rothan Walker, I see your comment right there. Dr. David Martin frames this like Trump is innocent and not in the know. And this is one of the major debates, Rothan Walker, that I am seeing across the medical freedom community and throughout MAHA, right? Should we give Trump a pass? Was Trump duped? Poor little baby Trump. He just didn't know any better. I tend to think if a girl like me, operating out of Rochester, New York with, no special advisors, no real scientific background, no real understanding of all these things, if I could figure this out very easily in March of 2020, then I'm not quite sure why the president of the United States can't figure this out. They tend to be isolated. We know that. They have a lot on their plate. We understand that. And they also have advisors who all have agendas. But they should know that, right? I mean, what is the point of Donald Trump putting Susie Wiles? She is like a big pharma, military industrial complex kind of gal. She's been in the deep state forever, yet he puts her in charge of all of his scheduling and everyone who has access to him. So, at some point you have to say, as an executive, you have to pull your head out of your you know what, and figure out how to get to good information. And so, but the thing is, we're not there. I'm not in Donald Trump's brain. Some people want to give him the benefit of the doubt. As you all know, I do not. So here in the Shannon Joy Show, I think he either knows full well what he did and doesn't care, or he didn't care to know about what was going on because he's only there to be a spokesperson, a talking head, and enrich himself and his family. By the way, Wall Street Journal, with this headline today, the Trump family in the past few months has amassed over $5 billion in new fortune after their pump and dump rug pull crypto launch. By the way, he's getting casinos in Dubai, and he's getting, multi-million dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars for private jets. Sometimes you just have to go with like the simplest explanation. From my perspective, Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care. He was put in office the first time and the second time to play a part and to lead the MAGA political faction off a cliff. And he's done his job. He'll be rich on the back end. He'll get rich on the back end, like all of them. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not in their secret meetings. I'm not in Trump's brain. I can't see into his heart, right? But I also give other people like Dr. David Martin the ability to think differently than me. Because there are a lot of people out there who think that he was duped, and maybe, just maybe, if we get him good information, he'll start to make the right decisions. I don't think that's the case at all. But that doesn't mean that these people who are trying to move the ball forward should just be, thrown out, and throwing the baby out with bathwater. So Buskman, he has known for years now, Shan. I agree. I think he has as well. But some people also, listen, everyone has their own style, their own way of wanting to do things. And I think it is laudable that Dr. David Martin wants to present this information. The only thing he's missing there, I think, is the key component, Sasha Latapova and Debbie Lerman's work that is identifying very clearly that this was an international NATO-led military operation. And they have been planning this, as you can see, since 2014 and 2015. He talked about the suspension of gain of function research and how they tricked everyone into thinking that they moved the whole operation over to Wuhan, but they didn't. They kept it at UNC Chapel Hill and did all of their dirty business there. Then they released whatever it was. I mean, listen, what do we have? We have, we know about the pseudouridine. We know about the lipid nanoparticles, and we know about the spike protein. What we don't know is exactly what was in every shot and what went out. It's very clear through the work that was done by the folks over at How Bad Is My Batch, and this was also reported on by Sasha Latapova many years ago, that different versions of the vaccine were shipped out during the rollout of Operation Warp Speed and the rollout of the distribution of the vaccines. In fact, some speculate that a large percentage, a large portion of what was rolled out were actually placebos, right? Like nothing there. So we don't have any of this information. We need more information. And I welcome voices like Dr. David Martin, who is helping to push that truth agenda. So we will be talking to him in just a couple days here on the Shannon Joy Show. Garth Hilton, it was the most successful weapon delivery in human history. I think we do need to open our minds and our imaginations. Think about it this way. For those of you who have critiqued the military industrial complex for many, many years, those of you going back to Vietnam, and then through the attacks on 9/11 and the wars in the Middle East and the deployment of our troops. I mean, many have critiqued our government for sending young men, young boys into the meat grinder. They don't care. They want war, and more war because war is profitable and it helps them to set up power structures. It helps them to topple troublesome, civilizations and troublesome governments. And it allows them to suck up the largesse of the American taxpayer, operate with black budgets, hide money, do all kinds of nasty and horrifying things in order, and they justify it through, a big, scary war, right? Well, I guess you would have to imagine that our own military industrial complex, as people began to figure out what they were doing abroad, decided, well, maybe we'll just turn our attentions here into the United States of America and our own people. There's lots of money to be made by frightening people and launching fake pandemics and, erecting the police state, the surveillance state, the digital IDs, the digital currencies. Like, why not, right? They have no problem going through, these military operations to gain power and wealth. I guess it's like people need to understand, like, they don't care about you. That's the thing that, as just a girl observing politics for 12 years, I cannot wrap my mind around. I cannot wrap my mind around a sentient, intelligent human being in the United States of America today who actually thinks that there are people in Washington, D.C. who care about you or care about us or care if they annihilate millions of us. I mean, that's what they do. They send our boys into war. They drop nukes. They engage in human experimentation, from the Manhattan Project to, just the most horrific things. The story's out there. If you go in and you look at the actions of our military and the CIA and our intelligence agencies, and yeah, Israel's bad too. They have their own military and their own intelligence agencies, and they're just as bad as ours. Which is worse? I don't know. Who's wagging the tail? I have no idea. But the idea here that these people care. This is why I have been such an evangelist for bottom-up organization and decentralized resistance, right? Like, we are not going to go to Washington, D.C. and fix things. Trump is not going to see the light. I don't even know if he's going to, we might go into the dementia storyline now with Donald Trump. Rinse and repeat. You would think at least they could come up with new storylines, but apparently we're going to do the Joe Biden thing with Donald Trump. We're going to drag that out and beat that horse to death with these new latest headlines regarding Trump and his health. Like, when are we going to stop obsessing over these lunatic madmen who do not care about us? They are narcissists. They are egomaniacs. They are predators. Okay? The sooner we, the people of the United States of America, understand this, both Democrats and Republicans, Biden and Trump, right, do not care and will take as much as we'll allow them to take from us, as long as we remain divided and locked into our lie narratives. MAV 2022, they look at us as resources, well, human resources, right? meant for them. We take up space and they hate us. Yes, please, please, please understand this. Dighton Tom is with us. I sent an email to Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, and Megyn Kelly today to let them know that Trump has now given them permission to talk about not only Operation Warp Speed, but also the white fibrous clots that have been revealed by retired Major Tom Haviland. Thank you, Dighton Tom. I appreciate you for that. And they also have the opportunity now. The door is open. Trump has opened the door. We can now actually look at Operation Warp Speed and the rollout of the death jabs and the mass death and destruction that happened subsequent to that rollout. It is now not off the table. Trump has opened the door. So let's keep pushing this forward. There are new reports out that I haven't linked in the show notes today, but I will link them in the show notes tomorrow on infant mortality in the United States of America, infants of women who were jabbed, double jabbed, triple jabbed, and it's horrifying. We also have new information on death rates, skyrocketing death rates, and disability, chronic disability. You have seen now the normalization through the tragic story of Bruce Willis. This is being trotted out all over mainstream news media, and they're making it seem cute and so friendly and just so normal that young, relatively young men are descending into dementia, Alzheimer's, neurological disorders at a rapid pace. And I guess trying to kind of normalize that in the United States of America. We have two presidents who, I know, people are wondering about their mental capacity. And yeah, there are some interesting videos out there with Trump as well. And yeah, a lot of people believe, Fez Woody with this comment on the live chat, a lot of people believe that they have won the population reduction game. I don't know if they've won yet, Fez Woody, but through the injured, the dead, the chronically injured, and infertility that is a result, we know now, of mass vaccination, that they might be able to achieve depopulation goals. And like they've been telling us this for years. I just don't know why people are surprised by this. The guys in charge at this point, it seems, the Peter Thiels, Palantirs, techno-fascists, Elon Musk, Jim O'Neill, new guy over at CDC, and all of the other guys, Lutnick, you name it. So these guys are like kind of post-constitutional, post-America. They are into the new 21st century economy, which you own nothing and you're happy. And there are a lot fewer of us because they don't need us anymore. They have their fancy robots. Like, this is the dystopia that these people dream up. And I don't think they're going to be able to achieve it, but they can hurt a lot of people, especially people who fall for it. They can hurt a lot of people in their pursuit of world domination. And these lunatics really think they can achieve it. And I think, honestly, we might be saying, J.D. Vance also had some bizarre statement just a couple days ago about how he was asked about Trump's readiness and his health. And by the way, like I mentioned, we haven't seen Donald Trump since August 26th, and there are some questions about his health. Then J.D. Vance comes out and says, well, I am ready to serve. If anything should happen to the president of the United States, well, I'm here. You guys know that J.D. Vance is like Peter Thiel's hand-picked guy. He's like the Manchurian candidate. And so they might have decided that Trump has just served his purpose and people don't believe him anymore because he's lied about so many things and he's lost his touch in terms of moving MAGA and moving MAHA. He doesn't have that magic golden touch anymore and people are sick of it. So in that case, they might just pull Trump out. I have no idea. It's their story, not mine. I'm just here watching it with all of you, white-knuckled on the roller coaster, trying to figure out what is going on. All we can look at is what is right in front of our faces. And Mark the Regan has this comment. He believes that the Bruce Willis dementia story, which is very, very tragic and very sad, Mark thinks it's a psyop to normalize dementia. Yeah. Unbelievable. Oh, Diog 99. I saw JD Vance speak in person. The hypnosis level was amazing. I have no idea. Yeah, JD Vance, thank you, Busk Man, is a stakeholder in the company Amplify Bio. And Vance was, yes, a Peter Thiel pick. By the way, Palantir is like the most powerful, rich corporation on the face of the planet at this point. I think they're like number one. 6 months. 6 months. Peter Thiel purchases a president, right? Installs him in office. 6 months later, man, it's over. Trump is running away with billions, and we might just get a new president. Who knows what they have in store for us? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, oh my gosh, MAV 2022, I'm so sorry. My in-laws are declining with dementia after taking every single jab, every pill. Karen Carpenter, 27. My friend's father has dementia after one COVID shot. So sad to see. I have seen this time and time again. It is tragic. It is absolutely tragic. And yeah, man, I think we have to get over the idea that, our rulers, our controllers want to see us healthy. I don't think that they necessarily do. All right, let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we will continue this discussion. And we have some announcements about the future of the Shannon Joy Show, new platforms, new partnerships, and also a brand new show tomorrow, Dr. Mary Telly Bowden, and On Call with Dr. Mary Telly Bowden. You guys are going to see her every Wednesday here on the Shannon Joy Network. We have other things to chat about as well. So keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a moment. All of the Native Path products are simply amazing. In the Joy household, we use the Hydrate. We use the Native Path Complete Protein. We use, obviously, the Native Path Collagen, which is right now on sale, 45% off if you go to getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. And that's a limited time, but it is the cleanest, the best, the highest quality collagen on the market at the absolute lowest price point. This is why I love their products. In fact, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy the other night, he uses everything, but every so often, if he plays volleyball, he will cramp up, or if he's doing some type of strenuous activity, he'll get these cramps. It's not very often, but middle of the night last week, I'm like in the bed next to him. All of a sudden, he's like, oh my gosh, like screaming, yelling, like stiff as his board. His feet are out like completely straight. And apparently both of his legs cramped up. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like trying to like get him up and turn him around in the bed because he can't like bend his legs. And he goes to me and goes, get me the Native Path Hydrate now. Get me the Native Path Hydrate, because it has the electrolytes in it. And so like I'm running downstairs and I'm mixing it up and I bring it up to him, and it took care of it. But like, that's how dependent the whole family is. My son has an entire box full of all of the stuff he's bringing back to college, and he wants to get his volleyball team on it because they're just great products. They deliver, they're clean, and the price points are absolutely perfect. So we love the team over at Native Path. please go to their website, getnativepathcollagen.com right now. We know what collagen does for your hair, your nails, your skin, your joints. It addresses joint pain. And we know that as we age, we lose a lot of the production of collagen in our body. So this is why I use Native Path Collagen every single day in my coffee. Doesn't help with cramping, but they have the hydrate for that. GetNativePathCollagen.com/joy. Bring our good Metals Group. I had a conversation yesterday, very well-known, very brilliant economic analyst. And the situation here in the United States of America is dire, despite what they're saying to you about the golden economy and the golden age here in the United States of America. Everyone who knows everything understands that the wheels are falling off this jalopy of an economy. And this is why every American needs a gold and silver strategy, period. End of sentence. If you have waited, if you have delayed in talking to our friends over at Colonial Metals Group because you think you have some time, please reconsider. He was telling me that, and I'm going to get into what he told me, word on the street, but the big news is he's saying within the next couple months to the next 6 to 8 months, we are going to see what he said is a disastrous crash. I mean, worse than the real estate bubble, worse than the dot-com bubble, worse than the situation after the lockdowns of 2020. And it is going to sweep away so many people who are trusting the two political parties, investing in Bitcoin and putting all of their eggs in the Wall Street basket. You need to diversify, and the smart money is going into gold and silver, whether it's through a physical purchase, which you can do at Colonial Metals Group, or moving over a portion of your 401k or your IRA into a gold and silver backed, independent, self-directed IRA. It's what I have. It is so easy to set up. I didn't have a ton of money. I had a little extra. I set up my IRA through Colonial Metals Group, and now I'm contributing a couple $100 every single month. It's part of my retirement strategy, and it helps me diversify. This is not a recommendation or financial advice for all of you, but it's what I do. And I trust the folks over at Colonial Metals Group. Please do not delay. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, so that you can begin to learn how to diversify, how to protect your retirement and hedge against the corruption and the chaos and the economic catastrophe, which I believe is coming very quickly to the United States of America. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. And on that note, regarding Colonial Metals Group, great friends of the Shannon Joy Show, Jesse Colombo, guy I've been following. He has a great Substack. He is the Bubble. I've been following him for almost 12 years. And he wrote a piece just the other day. I mean, not only silver is really, really interesting to watch right now. And he wrote this: silver's bull market is now fully underway and unfolding, just as I have consistently predicted in my reports and updates over the past 2 years. And that's one of the things I like about Jesse Colombo, is the consistency. I love Peter Schiff as well. If you go back 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, they are saying the same things. They are telling the truth. There's been a lot of speculation about crypto and Bitcoin and all the markets, you name it, but these guys are always super consistent. And silver was the big story over the weekend, breaking $40 an ounce, and it's now up 41% year to date. Gold is up somewhere close to 60% over the last year, and it is above the 40 mark today. But he is writing that he believes that the bull market is still in early stages, and that is same for gold as well. A lot of the big money the smart money. They understand where things are going, and they're getting into metal, and they're getting into metal very fast. The public at large, a lot of the other institutional investors are still not there. So there's still a lot of room to go. And he is calling for $50 silver as soon as September or October. And he does think that another scenario could come to play, a breakout from what he calls the massive cup, which he explains in his Substacks, that could just send the valuations of both gold and silver I don't know what the limit would be. This is because the fundamentals, the powers that be have not changed anything regarding the fundamentals. And as you know, 4,000 years of human history, gold and silver, they retain their value. This is why I work with Colonial Metals Group. And again, I trust them, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. That is colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. It is not too late for you guys to get in, especially if I'm seeing numbers, and we're going to go over this. The Treasury, the Federal Reserve issued a letter a month ago talking about revaluing gold, which I think is a signal. And we'll cover that letter this week, because that means they know that the wheels have fallen off the jalopy. I don't know that they can cover up. With the inflation, we now have Trump's tariffs have been smashed down by an appellate court. That's going to put even more pressure on the U.S. economy. Things are just highly unstable. This is why it is just so important to have that metal strategy. And that is a strategy that you can learn about and deploy through our friends over at Colonial Metals Group. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. I want to welcome you all back on the live chat as we close out the Shannon Joy Show today. Nautical with a great comment: sickness and death is the medical industrial complex business model, just like war is the military industrial complex business model. I think that is a very astute statement. Thank you. I appreciate that from you, Nautical. We have some announcements today, if you guys have noticed today. So we're going to close out the show. We have about 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes left in the Shannon Joy Show today. Again, thank you for being with us as we tackle some of the biggest topics of the day. And as you all know, the Shannon Joy Show looks a little different today. We have a beautiful graphics package, and we have some stingers with the commercials. It's because we have begun a new relationship with a new producer. Now, I want to say first and foremost, for those of you who love Annie, who I love as well, who has been such an amazing gift to the Shannon Joy Show over the past 6 months, we are going our separate ways. There is no drama there, by the way. She is amazing. I absolutely love her. She did a phenomenal job, but there were just aspects of her business and my business that didn't fit together. She has a lot to do. As you guys know, she is writing a new book. She is speaking. She is on tour. She has a very successful Substack, and she's going to be a part of the Shannon Joy Show in years to come. I know that we will still work together. However, there's certain things that we needed to do here on the show that required moving in a different direction. And so I know we are all dead. I preferred the Shumbles. So big announcement today. As you guys know, we're launching Dr. Mary Talley Bowden tomorrow, her weekly show On Call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. We are also launching a new partnership and collaboration with the amazing team over at Died Suddenly. You might have noticed the Shannon Joy Show is broadcast today on their massive platform on Twitter. Died Suddenly has become one of the platforms on social media that people can depend on for so many truths about what is actually happening. And they are coming back to the Shannon Joy Show as producers. And so I would love to bring in one of those primaries. I don't know, Wally, our new producer, if Ed is ready to pop in and say hello as we launch this new project. I think we did okay today, Ed. It wasn't, I wanted a soft start, right? But you guys are professionals. You are truth tellers. You are friends. And we've been through a lot together. We produced an amazing blockbuster documentary, The Kill Shot. We've known each other for quite some time. I know I am really pumped to begin working with you guys again. Welcome, and thanks for taking on, this crazy.
Hey, it's a good kind of crazy though. I'll say this: we have been fans of Shannon Joy from the beginning. Okay, from when my business partner Matthew Scow, who's the director of Died Suddenly, from when he found your radio show and said, "Man, why doesn't this lady have a video version of our program?" And we've been through a lot. We've actually I feel like we've learned so much. We've grown together in our understanding of politics and how dirty it is, to be frank. but we have a deep connection with you. I'm very excited about we're honored again to be your production team. I'm very excited about that. The growth of our relationship. And I'll say this: you have been a fighter who has not compromised on many topics, not just the subject of making America healthy again, but on President Trump. You've been truthful, you have been sharp, you've been fair. And I'll just say, I know that this is the right path for us, especially with our production, all these things, because this was actually a show that I had given to one of our producers named Frankie, and Frankie fortunately passed a couple years ago now. But I feel like we can honor him and his memory again by continuing to work with you too. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. You'll see us from time to time. And of course, what we're up to, I'm actually in LA right now, and we're shooting for Died Suddenly 2, DS2 Nano Sapiens, and you can go to ds2nano.com for that. But they're very excited about the whole thing.
Well, I was super pumped to see you guys push out a photo of she's a member of my Bad Girls Club, and she's one of my absolute favorites. Sasha,
she's awesome.
Latypova. I mean, Sasha frightens me. I mean, if people think I'm like feisty and I'll critique Donald Trump, like Sasha takes it to a whole new level, man. And she's also absolutely brilliant. And I was so pumped to see that you guys were able to get out there and not only interview her for Died Suddenly 2 Nano Sapiens, but also, the work that she is doing on this very critical case in the Netherlands. They are trying some of the leaders in the Netherlands on crimes against humanity. And so she's involved in that as well. We're going to be having her on a regular basis for that. But no, you guys have been, what I love about Died Suddenly, I love about the work that you do. You guys are brilliant. You aren't afraid to get up, ship out, go anywhere, to go where the story is. You have all of the technical abilities, but you also have the ability to tell stories, and also you're rooted in biblical faith and in biblical Christianity. And that's something that was important to me with my relationship with you and also Matt. That underpins everything I do here. If people want to know, like, where is my baseline? Where do all of my ideas come from? It is from my biblical faith. 42 years of being a born again Christian, reading my Bible cover to cover, Genesis to the book of Revelations in multiple translations, in the Word every day. This is where I draw so much of my understanding and so much of my ideas about American politics. And you guys share that, and that's important. That's an important root. I think an important root similarity between us.
Well, certainly, and I think one of the characteristics we love to lean into is that, look, there's an enemy out there that wants to see you and I not only broke, destitute, and unplatformed, but dead. They really do want to see our children dead. They want to see us dead. They hate us, and they're evil. And that enemy we've worked together to expose over the last couple of years, and that's my goal is for us, especially with Sasha and anyone else we interview and talk to and collaborate with, is that we build coalitions and we don't destroy them, building bridges instead of wrecking them. And I think more often than not, it is important to differentiate between positions with people. No, we can't be allied with everybody. This isn't just one big happy tent that we're all like a circus under, and we don't stand for we stand for everything, but we don't stand for anything, right? No, we're not that. Right. But I'd say that it's an exciting time. And if I can, there's an event we're here in LA for tonight. I'll send you some stuff over about it once we've had it. But we're actually helping with the stream for it at Lighthouse Church. If you're in the LA area, Lighthouse Church
Great.
at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll also be streaming on the Died Suddenly X, and it is actually an interview with a man named Jesse Beltran. And he claims to, he alleges, we're going to be investigating this, he alleges that he has the proof of the weaponized nanotechnology that he alleges was placed inside the vaccines. Now, of course,
Yeah.
some people don't think this stuff's real. We're going to investigate it, but this is the promo we produced last night for
Sweet.
it. But that's, if you're in the LA area, that's where we're going to be tonight.
Yeah. I think that more conversations are better, and people don't agree on everything. Listen, there are a lot of people out there who share certain principles, but it's impossible for everyone to agree on everything. But I think that the ability to investigate and to hear these stories and then for people to decide for themselves is critically important. You guys are doing that. So thank you to Wally, who so brilliantly produced the Shannon Joy Show today. Thank you to Annie, who I texted with this morning, by the way, and I texted her, I miss you desperately already. Wish you the best. She texted me back. You are not going to see the last of Annie. I think that she's going to be a regular feature on the Shannon Joy Show because she has amazing things to do as well. So thank you, sister in Christ with Annie. Love her. And I will always love her. So I appreciate you so much. But I am excited about this new collaboration. So Wally, phenomenal job today. We did it. I mean, we're up, we're out, we're going. And that was really my mission for today. Now we have poor Mary Talley Bowden, launching her show tomorrow. That's going to be interesting as well. It's going to be great. You guys are going to love it. And don't worry, Ed, they're all sad that they're not going to get Shumbles anymore. They love Shumbles. Like when I make big mistakes and make a fool out of myself live on the show. So somehow you guys are going to, I don't know how we're going to give them those Shumbles, but I mean, work with me long enough. I'll figure out a way to like turn my mic around. In fact, you were laughing at me in one of my commercials with my Yeti mic.
Off record, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, in general, that's the authenticity of this, man. It's live. Shannon is exactly who you see and hear on screen as she is off screen. And look, I'm just very excited to see you address and kind of continue to be a leading voice in the fight for truth in this country. We're at a very dire point in this country, and I think we need truth tellers more than ever. People are willing to sell their soul for money, and they're willing to sell themselves out, including presidency. If we're looking at the information objectively. So yes, very excited and great job, Wally. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing me on.
Great job, Annie. And thank you, Ed, and thank you to the fans of Died Suddenly, to Matt Scow and Ed Zoll, and as I mentioned, Annie, and all of you. You guys have been through this all with me from the very beginning when we started the show 12 years ago out of, I kid you not, a little double wide trailer in a cornfield, little tiny 5,000, 20,000 watt radio station. Those were the humble beginnings of the Shannon Joy Show. And don't worry, we will make sure to keep the authenticity. And yeah, you guys know you can mess with me. So I have a feeling I will figure out a way to mess things up, even with the most brilliant of producers, even with the most amazing Died Suddenly producers. We'll figure it out. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. We will be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show. We will be joined by Dr. Mary Talley Bowden at 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow to go over the big news in the medical freedom community, which is the statement from President Donald Trump, among other things. And then we're going to launch her show tomorrow starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time every day. Mary Talley Bowden will be hosting On Call with Dr. Mary, and you guys will be able to engage with her live every day. So it's going to be exciting. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Buckle up, everyone. It's the Shannon Joy Show. We're live daily on Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, Roku, and Apple TV. Reaching over 500,000 eyes and ears every single month. News, information, interviews, and commentary you won't hear on other news outlets. Not left, not right, just the truth, independent, every day at noon. We're just about to get started.